Greetings, Internet. I'm the Modern Marxist, otherwise known as Political Shrimp. Long story short, my Twitter account for this YouTube channel got banned because I compared the police to the Gestapo, so I had to make a new account. I've taken it as an opportunity to do some minor rebranding, so let me know how you like it. I have some great videos coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks, so stay tuned, and if you like my content, subscribe and give me some feedback in the comments. Alright, now let's get into our topic for today. The first proper video we ever did on this channel was an overview of France's neo-colonialist policies in Africa. Unfortunately, I overlooked a key nation in my research for that video, the country of Niger, or Niger, however you prefer to pronounce it. You've probably heard Niger mentioned in the news lately, as just a few short weeks ago, a military coup toppled its deeply unpopular leader, President Mohamed Bazoum. Bazoum is understood by many to have been little more than a puppet for the French, allowing them to plunder Niger's bountiful resources. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but despite its apparent poverty, Niger is extremely rich. Not rich in dollars, gold, or oil, but in uranium. You would imagine that a nation full of uranium would be set on electricity forever, right? Build a few civilian nuclear reactors and suddenly they're generating enough electricity to power the continent. Which is exactly why it's so strange to learn that only around 14% of Nigerians have access to an electrical grid. Clearly, Niger could meet the electrical needs of its entire population and then some, using their uranium within its borders, but that uranium has always been shipped off elsewhere, to France, where uranium from Niger accounts for roughly 50% of France's uranium consumption. In 2021, 68% of France's annual electricity generation came from nuclear power plants. Some simple math tells us that about 1/3 of France's annual electricity generation comes specifically from Nigerian uranium. Immediately following the coup, the new government of Niger banned all exports of uranium to France and the United States, which is a major issue for France. This move has been widely celebrated by the people of Niger, who intensely resent their colonizers. Much of the controversy has come not from Niger itself, but the nations that have stepped up to defend the new government. Russian President Vladimir Putin has made every effort to establish friendly ties with Niger and other states within the region that have seen recent public-backed military coups, like Mali and Burkina Faso. Russia's private military contractor, Wagner, are being hired by the new government to defend Niger. From what, you ask? From France, of course. Or more specifically, ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, a front group for Western resource interests in the region. Member nations such as Nigeria, which teeters on the edge of its own revolution, are hastily putting together a military force with the aims of deposing the coup government and reinstating Bazoum. Nigeria has cut off all electricity to Niger. However, this attempt at sabotage has failed as Algeria has offered to provide Niger energy instead for the time being. The coup in Niger might seem insignificant to somebody living in the imperial core, but it is undeniably an event that will echo through history. Every colonized nation that successfully breaks free from the chains of imperialism will push Western capitalism closer to the reality of capitalism outside the imperial core. Without resources to plunder and workers to exploit, capitalism is incapable of sustaining itself for a prolonged period of time. Control over Niger's uranium is fiercely contested. However, there are plans in motion to put it to use for the people of Africa. Ibrahim Traoré, the military leader of Burkina Faso, and currently the youngest world leader at only 34 years old, has proposed the building of nuclear power plants in Burkina Faso. Such plants would be more than capable of powering the entire region, potentially kickstarting major economic development in the Sahel region. Such success would undoubtedly encourage the people of other African states to rebel against their own corrupt leadership, setting off a chain of dominoes that could potentially end neocolonialism in Africa forever. If ECOWAS decides to invade Niger, it will start a region-wide war, as Burkina Faso and Mali have both pledged to come to Niger's defense in such an event. The people of the ECOWAS nations have been protesting against any military action being taken, as such a war would likely end poorly for ECOWAS. None of the countries in ECOWAS are militarily prepared for such a conflict, and with Western weapons going to Ukraine, there's little outside help for them. The stockpiles of NATO nations have been steadily depleting, with weapons that have been out of service for decades being brought out of storage and shipped to Ukraine. Whereas an alliance with Russia could potentially bring the Sahel states closer to China, the world's foremost manufacturing giant, which has little issue replenishing spent stockpiles. Obviously, any West African country getting military aid from China is a distant hypothetical at best, but it's worth considering for ECOWAS before they get themselves into a long and grueling war of attrition. The situation in West Africa is very much ongoing, so keep that in mind and keep up with the news through African sources. Make some friends with somebody who lives in that region and ask their thoughts on the matter. They are the driving force behind these events, after all. However you look at it, it's clear that the people of Africa are sick and tired of being exploited. They are more than capable of standing up and standing together against colonialism. That's all I have for you this week. Thanks for watching, and glory to the men and women of Africa who fight for their freedom.